Imagine being Africa's second most populated nation, over 130 million people, a rising economic powerhouse, a proud empire that once resisted colonization, yet you can't touch the sea. That is Ethiopia's nightmare, a landlocked giant, boxed in by Eritrea, Djibouti, Sudan, Somalia, and Kenya. Ethiopia sits just kilometers away from the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, some of the busiest sea lanes on Earth, yet it has no direct access. This nightmare is not just about money. It is about survival, history, and power. For centuries, Ethiopia held ports on the Red Sea, Assab and Massawa. But everything changed with Italy's colonial ambitions. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Italy seized Eritrea as its colony, cutting Ethiopia off from the coast. Even after Ethiopia defeated Italy at Adwa in 1896, the Italians clung to Eritrea until World War II. Later, Eritrea was federated with Ethiopia, giving back a Red Sea window. But after decades of bloody conflict, Eritrea finally gained independence in 1993, permanently stripping Ethiopia of the sea. Overnight, one of the oldest states on Earth became landlocked for the first time in its history. Since then, Ethiopia has been forced to rely almost entirely on Djibouti, which now handles more than 95% of its trade, draining over $1 billion annually in port fees. Alternatives were explored: negotiations with Sudan for Port Sudan, participation in Kenya's Lamu port project through the Lapset corridor, and a modern railway linking Addis Ababa to Djibouti. Yet, every option depended on another country's goodwill, and goodwill in the Horn of Africa is like balancing fire on top of gasoline. That is why in 2024, Ethiopia shocked the region with a daring move: an agreement with Somaliland. It promised Ethiopia a 50-year lease on the Berbera coast, allowing it to build a port and even a naval base. In return, Ethiopia would recognize Somaliland's independence. Somalia immediately saw this as an attack on its sovereignty, and tensions exploded across the Horn. Ethiopia's desperation for the sea had just shaken the balance of power, but only months later, in December 2024, Ethiopia shifted tone again, signing the Ankara Declaration with Somalia. This opened the door to negotiating sea access under Somalia's sovereignty. It was a diplomatic reset, yet Ethiopia's nightmare remained unresolved. And here lies the deepest question: how long can a giant of Ethiopia's size accept being trapped? Leaders in Addis Ababa know no great power can remain landlocked forever. If peaceful solutions collapse, Ethiopia may one day look north. And here's the blunt reality: its army is one of the strongest in Africa. Eritrea's military? Many Ethiopians joke it would take them one day and one breakfast to control it. Any reckless action could spiral into a regional war, even an international crisis. The Horn of Africa is a chessboard, and Ethiopia is the restless piece trying to escape the trap. For Ethiopia, the sea is more than just water. It is about dignity, independence, and destiny. The nightmare of being landlocked is its greatest wound, and unless diplomacy succeeds, Ethiopia might one day choose force to break free. The question is not if Ethiopia will reach the sea again. The question is how, through peace or through fire.